meal planning comes in all shapes and forms. Some people like to be very, very particular about it. They like to use a recipe each time. And you have to figure out what works best for your energy and for your lifestyle. But unless you have a very well stocked fridge and pantry, which that's one method that you can utilize too, is maybe you just keep your kitchen really stocked so you can throw together meals using what you have on hand. But you just don't want to find yourself in a situation where it's 5 o'clock and you can't really find anything to throw together for a meal. So you end up having to go out, or maybe you have enough for one meal, but then the next day you find yourself in the same position and you're going to the grocery store multiple times per week. So when I usually do this on Sunday nights, and I'll just put together a rough plan for dinners for the week. And there's a couple things that make that easier is if you are consistent every week doing certain things. So for instance, on Friday, we always do pizza. Sometimes I make
Yeah.
the pizza, sometimes we buy the pizza. It just depends on what I'm feeling like that Friday and whether I have the energy to make it or not. But my kids can pretty much expect that we're always having pizza on Friday. So that's one day that I can write down and I don't have to think anymore about it. Saturdays, we usually eat out. And then Sundays, we have some family in the area. So we switch off dinners. So 2 out of every 3 Sundays, I'm not having to cook on those days. And then 1 out of every 3, I am. So then that only leaves me like 3 or 4 days where I have to plug in meals. I'm just either thinking of things off the top of my head. Like, okay, I have a loaf of sourdough bread. Let's do grilled cheese and tomato soup one day. I need to buy some tomato soup. And then I'm putting together my shopping list at the same time. So at the end of maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I have a list of recipes. And then when I'm grocery shopping that week or doing a grocery delivery or pickup or whatever, I'm getting all the stuff for those recipes that I wrote out on the meal plan. And then each day, I know that even if I don't feel like making the recipe that I wrote on that day, I know I have all the ingredients for the recipe that I was going to make tomorrow. So it just ensures that I have the food that I need to make these recipes each week so that even if I'm switching things around or maybe I'm bumping one to next week because I never got to it, I know that I have the stuff to make that on hand. So I can relieve some of that mental burden.
And I know everybody has their preferred way of meal planning if they're in the regular way of doing it. I like how you shared yours is a given. Every Sunday you do it. Some people do it the first Monday of the month and they plan for an entire month. Other people just have the same meals on certain days of the week, like you mentioned, but like to the extreme. Like every
Yeah.
Monday, we have a chicken rice bowl, period.
Yeah.
I think that's why I don't really meal plan because we just eat the same meals over and over and we
Hmm.
have the same type, but pivoted. So I always have the food on hand. But that mental load piece is something that I always overlook because even if I have the same meals in general that we make, it's on my mind still. What are we
Yeah.
going to make tonight of those meals? So I'm going to follow your advice and see how it just helps.
Well, and I think your method is a form of meal planning because you have a small handful of meals that you're cooking on repeat. And so you're making sure that you have the ingredients for those things probably stocked all the time so that
Yeah,
you
they
could
are.
pull from any of those meals so that you know you have the stuff. Because I think that's half of the panic is, oh, I want to make spaghetti and meatballs, but shoot, I don't have any spaghetti. Like, because if you keep certain meal items in stock in your house, then those are easy things you can turn to. So in my mind, that's a form of meal planning. So good job.
Okay.
You're doing it.
All right. I'll give myself a pat on the back. But I also think I have to credit my dad there because he's always kept like our food storage and pantries well stocked. And I've just
This is
thought
amazing. I love
that's how
that.
we do things. So maybe
Yeah.
we just have
Yeah.
so much food, it helps. So let's go on to another tip.